Roll film.
Gillette.
The Me Too movement against sexual harassment.
Masculinity. Is this the best a man can get? Is it? We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. We can't laugh it off.
What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment.
But she says it's wrong. It's a lie.
And there will be no going back. Because we believe in the best in men.
Men need to hold other men accountable.
Well, sweetie.
It's a dude from White Chicks, right?
To say the right thing.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
To act the right way. Some already are. In ways big.
That was a dope video if you ever saw that originally.
Another man telling a woman what to be.
But some is not enough.
Some will treat each other okay.
Hands and swords.
Boys watching will be the men of tomorrow.
End it with a redhead.
There you go. Represent.
The Zim of tomorrow?
Oh, God. It's a whole nother conversation.
Different conversation.
So, first they're trying to take our beards. Now they're trying to take our masculinity.
All I want to do is throw hands in the yard, you know?
So, 500,000 likes, 950,000 dislikes. Why is everybody dumping on this video?
I want to know, out of all of those dislikes, how many of those people voted for Trump?
What does that got to do with anything?
Because we have a president who went on his campaign, and one of his things that he got in trouble in controversy was "boys will be boys."
This went from 0 to political in about 13 seconds.
Just saying.
Just,
Okay.
I blame Trump. I blame Trump.
Okay, listen. This is
I don't
only
know about Gillette. I
It's
blame
the
Trump.
second time I've seen the video. All right. So I've been watching this thing over and over again. I've read no articles on it. I only did one piece of research before we decided to just run our mouths on another natural kind of podcast.
Yeah.
And
That's all
my
I said.
my gut reaction was cool video, right? Not disagreeing with the message.
Yeah.
But I threw up in my mouth because
What?
it's Gillette. It's a billion-dollar company, right? And don't tell me they all of a sudden care.
Okay. Well, so let's pause.
That's why I threw up in my mouth, and I can't stand it. It's not the message. It's where the message originated from, and the fact that as Americans, we're supposed to believe that this company automatically cares because there's evidence that they don't, and I can prove it.
Okay. Facts. Okay, let's pause. Let's handle the message first and then go back to the approach.
Deal.
Okay.
So the message. Anybody have a problem with the message?
Well, let's just clarify the message between the four of us here.
They hate men.
Okay, so
They hate men. Gillette hates men.
so the hot topic, which is going to be around for years to come, is toxic masculinity, right?
So huge.
So
yeah.
Gillette, obviously not an alpha, and they're just catering this weak snowflake generation.
Okay.
I mean,
I
yeah.
Wait, no, here's the deal though. Like, I think it takes a real man to be able to break up fights, to lay down their pride, to do all of those things. So as a man, I was never offended. I didn't hear don't go camping, like don't grow a beard, like don't work out. All I heard was don't be toxic. Like don't use your power to hurt other people.
Don't be a jerk.
And I don't have a problem with that. I wasn't offended.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm not your generation. Okay.
Old.
All right. I own Gen X. I wasn't offended, right? Mm-hmm. But I also didn't read the 900,000 dislikes and why people hate it. I understand my negative reaction, which we decided to table for now. What are people objecting to the message itself? What is the controversy there? What am I missing?
I saw one person call it a leftist war against masculinity. That it's been going on from the media, and it's a part of the liberal agenda, and they're warring against masculinity.
But I would ask that person to explain it. I mean, what is that? What? Why? How?
I think from their perspective, they were saying that men are meant to be tough and rough, and they're meant to get their hands dirty. They're meant to fight and have this like aggressive survival of the fittest almost mentality. And so in a lot of ways, you're telling a man not to be a man is from what I understand this person's perspective being.
Definitely. I've seen that too. It's kind of like you're emasculating you have respect for their position in the household. That's already like so fragile as it is in like our homes that have like divorce rates up skyrocketed ever in history of the world. Like you look at that and then you say, oh, they're just trying to break down the man's role even more to the point where like he can't be tough and he can't be a provider and he can't like figure things out in the way that men
so we're
always
gonna
have.
all right. I can see. Here's what I can see. Then positive critique on less than a minute commercial or a minute commercial, however long that was, is that they could have included clips on what classic masculinity and being a strong tough man looks like from other perspectives, right? And so because there is part of being a man that is sometimes requires physicality and aggressiveness. We were created by God with a different physical, right, DNA
literally
than women. So that's by design. We're to use that. That ad did not bring that up in any sort of way. Clearly, some men have abused that. But how do we use our physicalness in positive ways, right?
Yeah,
I can see that.
And I would argue like part of the reason that there is so much fatherlessness is because men have really sucked at being men because they're being incomplete versions of men. And so you highlight the physicality, but men also need to be emotional and connect with their wives on that level. They also need to be loving and compassionate, and men ultimately need to sacrificially extend themselves for those around them. And so I'd say a direct, like, the reason that happened was because men weren't being men. They'd already broke down the idea of masculinity a long time ago. Yeah,
that was something that like I caught from the video was not necessarily that they were saying that all of this was bad, but repurposing like what does being tough look like, and not that aggression is bad, in the right purpose, but almost saying that sometimes the tougher thing to do is to do the right thing, like to step in, like specifically in the scene where the kids are fighting and the dads are just standing there watching this, and their response is boys will be boys. Well, and then the next clip of you see of that same scene, the dad's going in and pulling them off one another. Like, so sometimes I think what I caught is like, what is the balance of, yes, there does seem to be more aggression in boys, especially growing up at that age, but then how do you find and teach the balance of that? And I think that's, from my perspective, what I saw was how do you find that balance between toxic masculinity.
I like that it gave both like negative examples and then also showed some positive examples on the back end.
So what is the female reaction to this video? I don't know if it's guys that are more mad or girls that are more mad. What's the female reaction? You saw that and you're like, yeah, come on, man, y'all need this message, or what?
So I had two different reactions. My first reaction was, wow, this is awesome. Like, it's not a solution, it's not an end all, but it's a step in the right direction. And I didn't see it from the point of this multi-billion, how much their net worth is, company came in and decided to have a voice. I saw it as, I'm glad they're deciding to use their voice and their platform to do good. On the catch-in, though, as a female, it kind of frustrates me because Gillette is a main company that uses what we call the pink tax. They charge more for women razors that do the exact same thing that guy razors do. So to me, it just kind of seems a little hypocritical that they're seeking this balance of, correct masculinity, but yet, I don't know, they seem to have this gap between how much they charge women over men.
So that brings us to the next point,
which is toxic femininity.
Yeah,
let's get into that right now.
And marketing is great at toxic femininity. They've been doing it for years.
Yeah, listen, we've had so many videos telling us how to be, what to look like, all this kind of stuff for years. The men have one video and they're up in arms about it.
Come on, cover girl, where's your ad? When are we going to tackle toxic femininity, huh? Come on, Maybelline, what's up?
Okay, so in 1 second, let's jump into the company. But real quick, like, anybody experience, I grew up in a culture like locker room football, middle school,
Yeah.
where it was all toxic masculinity. And so I'm excited to see us as a culture step out of that and say, hey, that's not going to fly anymore. Like, you're not how many girls you got with. It's not this conquest. Like, I don't know.
I definitely see value, though, in some of those areas, whereas, like, no coaches, no parents, no teachers, and it was just, like, two guys just punching each other in the face.
Lord of the Flies, baby.
And, like, no,
That worked out great.
At the end of it, though, like, there was
that book's
times
at
I
every youth pastor.
definitely saw where, like, sometimes, like, it was okay to fight in a controlled scenario where your friends are going to break it up. Or sometimes, like, hey, let's let these two guys who have been friends for a long time just jump on each other. At the end of it, like, they're like, I've had situations like that. And so I don't know. I can kind of see from that perspective of, like, it's like boys will be boys. But sometimes, like, there was situations where I was like, this is just going to happen. And afterwards, we're going to go get, like, Whataburger because
See,
it's
when
the best.
you're
What'd you hit?
talking... Yeah, what'd you hit,
Yeah.
Aaron?
Who'd you hit, Aaron?
When you're
Who'd you
talking
hit,
about
Aaron?
that,
Hurt
though,
wrist.
all I hear is lack of self-control. Like, it's almost like you're saying, though, it's okay to lose control as long as it's in a controlled environment of a locker room, or as long as we go get Whataburger afterwards. Like, you're still losing control, and you have no control over your behavior, your actions, or what you're saying or doing. So I don't see that at all as a healthy or positive thing.
I'm fine
Yeah,
with
why
it.
can't boys be men? Okay, so let's move to the company side. Gillette is a wholesome family company. Johnson and Johnson,
All right. Look,
serving the needs of families.
Check
since-
this out. Okay, so Gillette is one of many products by Procter and Gamble, right?
Yeah.
A massive U.S. company. They do everything from our dishwashing soap to toothpaste, Tide, you name it. It's like you have Procter and Gamble all over your house, you don't even know it.
Wow.
Right? $65 billion approximately they pulled in 2017.
Million?
Billion.
Billion. That's a
65.
B.
We're talking about 65 with a B, baby. Billion
wow.
dollar company. Okay.
Wow.
You go to Gillette's, I don't know how long I'm going to keep that up, but I went today. You go to their website, they're going to pop up a little note about this ad.
Yeah, they wrote a response.
And so here's what they're doing. Because it's not all public awareness, right? So they want to put their money where their mouth is. I love that. So what they're going to do is they're going to give $1 million.
It's a Catalyst Collective.
Nope, not after this podcast. They're going to give $1 million to charity,
Okay.
right? That is working in the area of helping, young men learn to be positive role models in men.
Catalyst Collective.
No. $1 million for the next 3 years. Total of $3 million. Let's say $1 million a year.
Wait. What, did you say million or billion?
1 million.
Okay.
1 million. So let's put that into perspective a minute, because that makes me throw up even more. And that's why this is a complete sham and joke. You're putting $1 million into this? Are you kidding me? So that is 0.001% of their annual income. Not even their net worth, their annual income. That would be the equivalent of, let's say, an average family today making $50,000 a year. 0.001%. They're so moved. They're so passionate behind something. Man, they're like, we're getting behind this mission. We're blood, sweat, tears. We're going to sacrifice to see change. So we're going to take our $50,000 a year and we're going to put 0.1% into this mission.
Catalyst Collective.
You know what they gave?
What?
50 cents.
Wait, nah.
50 cents. Do the math. So essentially, Procter and Gamble is giving 50 cents a year to nonprofits to help because they are so deeply pained by this toxic masculinity that they are willing to make sacrifices to no ends to see it. Bull, man. This is all. That's what I'm saying. Like it's where the message came from that makes me want to throw up.
But on a positive, though, I don't see...
No, there ain't no
happening.
positive.
I don't... No, it is... there. You can't say that there's no positive. There is positive. One, we're talking about toxic masculinity right now, so it's bringing the topic to the table. However, like, I don't see a whole lot of other companies who are doing what Gillette's doing.
Okay, you want...
That's fair.
So here's what Gillette does.
fair,
Oh,
yeah.
it's only a matter of time. And no, y'all are
but
wrong. Y'all are wrong.
No, we're not wrong. They're gonna make ads either way.
No.
Shouldn't they at least make ads that move culture forward.
Yeah. But the whole, you know,
If
getting
you
behind.
get sold, I haven't bought a Gillette ad because of this ad. I haven't bought a Gillette razor because of this ad.
Look, the whole getting behind social causes is nothing new. Companies know the social responsibility. People are starting to move their investments based on their beliefs and feelings. Social responsibility is huge. Companies know to keep a positive brand image in the public's eye, they have to do this stuff. It's not because they want to spend the money doing this stuff. It's because they have to in order to keep a positive image in the public.
But is them doing it better than not doing it?
No. Here's what's better. I'll tell you what's better. Gillette takes the money they spent on this ad, go ahead and create the ad, but then hand it off to the Boys and Girls Club or some other nonprofit and let them be the face behind the ad. Let them be the group, right? The ad is sponsored by Gillette, but it's the Boys and Girl Club's message because that's their mission. Or it takes some nonprofit who it's their actual mission and say we're gonna build these programs up and we want to fund not our voice, your voice out there because you're on the front lines of this mission. That's noble. That's a management that cares and is looking to solve a problem, not trying to like gain public image and brand and sell more razors.
And that's great. Casey Neistat did that with Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and I thought it was great. He went to a foreign country, spent the money that he was allotted to make a trailer for the movie. It's really, really cool. But I still think that doing something is better than doing nothing. And I think if companies are having to figure this out anyways, let them figure it out. I think as a culture, as a whole, the whole Me Too movement, companies, like industries are figuring out what does my social impact look like? And how do I steward that well?
Yeah, but see, the problem is, and this is where I think, this is where they got millennials. Because a millennial now is going to go into the razor section, and out of all the razors, they're not even going to look at price anymore. They're going to look at Gillette. Well, Gillette had that one ad that I agreed with. I'm going to buy Gillette. Gillette wins the money game.
No, that's not millennials at all.
Still,
I've got a list of 5 razors reviewed on Amazon. I'm taking it by facts and 5-star ratings. I'm finding the best razor out there. In fact, I'm not even buying Gillette. I've already given up on Gillette. There's Harry's and other people doing the same thing, but even better.
And millennials are, I feel like, the only voice who are bringing facts to the table and not just running on emotions about this, where you see some of the older generations doing, where they're like, don't tell me how to be. The women and the younger generations are the one that are saying, hold on a second, I agree with the message, I love this. However, there's a little bit of hypocrisy here whenever you're saying this, but you're still charging us over $1.50 extra on the razor that does the same thing. So we're not saying that we're going to go buy their stuff. We are going to call them out and hold them accountable, which is what I see millennials doing. But again, this is kind of the problem that you see with anybody who is a celebrity or of celebrity status, of any kind of protest. You're basically saying they have no right to use their platform. They have no right to be a voice into our generation or into society and the society issues. And that's totally false. What a difference does it make if they are a Boys and Girls Club? They have a platform and they have an influence. They should use it.
And that's all good, fine and good, but you think that's what they were discussing in the boardroom?
I truly believe that companies, while yes, I do know that they're probably going to get profit off of this, I really do think companies are trying to say how can we impact our society for the good.
I think absolutely. I think some companies may be doing that. I don't think Procter & Gamble did. Because if Procter & Gamble had that, how do we impact for good? They wouldn't have thrown 50 cents at it.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. I think that what we're
start.
seeing as a whole is companies are having to raise the bar because of some small companies who are doing it right and using their voice to make an impact. And that's going to make Procter & Gamble and other big corporations change their ways. And so Kaitlyn and I talk about this all the time. We recycle, but we don't do it well. We have a box that we throw random crap in and we try and take it. And most days we might not be doing any good, but we're getting in the practice of recycling. We're trying to change the culture of our house and we're getting better at it. That's what I see in this industry. They're starting to wrestle with what's our voice and how do we steward that well? How do we reach a generation? How do we, this global impact type stuff?
All right. Well, I'm still in the camp of I'm waiting for CoverGirl and Maybelline to figure this out, and I want to see their ad.
They've been making ads with diversity and culture.
Dove's kind of
diversity, meaning that someone other than white women could be beautiful. I'm glad that they got to that part. Way to go, Cover girl in Maybelline.
I'm
But
not
that's
saying
it.
I'm not saying they do it correct, but
Sadly, that's a
they're
step.
trying to bring it back to the identity of, well, yes, makeup is awesome. Use makeup if it makes you feel better. Use makeup if you just like to play it, whatever. But they're also talking about inner beauty. They're also, if you go and look at makeup and cosmetic industries that are giving back to society, you would be so surprised by the numbers. And I can't say what those numbers are. I didn't do that research on the way before in here. But there are so many cosmetic industries that are giving back. Dove is a great example of that.
And making powerful ads that challenge who people are and not what they use.
All right.
So
One of my coworkers brought up a good point, and he was like, "How is this any different than LeBron James or like Kyrie Irving talking about like politics after like a game in an interview?"
or the Earth being flat.
Let's move on.
Kyrie.
But and my coworker brought up a good point, and I think that's something that might connect with you, Joe. Is like, well, that's just going to further their brand or their shoe deal that they have with Adidas or Nike. Like, why that? A lot of people are saying, why don't they just stick to sports? Why don't they just keep playing sports? But I think at the end of the day, I like you said, Zach, I would rather have a company be saying something, and I'd rather have like an athlete be using a platform, regardless if the end goal in mind for them is, oh my gosh, my shoe deal is about to blow up. If I make this comment about how Trump sucks, everyone that hates Trump, that's 25, has some money, is going to buy my new shoes. Like, that's the same thing as Gillette, but at the same way, like, it's still like applying a voice to a group that feels like they are voiceless. Maybe that's people that are victims of crimes from men that are toxic and
Yeah, I don't follow that analogy because I don't think LeBron is out there trying to make more money by speaking on social issues that he's passionate about. He's just using his platform to talk, right?
Yeah.
Right? And so, but that's totally different than what goes on in a corporate boardroom.
Yeah. Well, what do you know? They could be like 10 guys who like all of their daughters
agents.
like all got like sexually assaulted, and it's like let's band together and like let's really do this.
I think that's the
Like-
difference between generations, though. Y'all always trying to give people
Eternal-
the benefit of the
eternal
doubt.
optimism.
Yeah, totally.
So-
Let's paint this and how it could be.
Here's what I'm saying: don't
Like-
buy anything based on any advertisement.
Yeah, I
And
like
go
that
out
too.
and do your research.
But to me, the motivation matters, man. The motivation matters. I'm not giving them kudos for coming up with an ad because they're the first ones to do it in that industry on this particular topic and nobody else is doing it. Because I'm looking at, it's kind of like the heart of man. What's the heart behind all this? And I don't see, the evidence shows me it's all about money.
Yeah.
And so like, good. I'm glad someone else will come along inside and do it right next time.
Wait,
It's hard because I think it's true. Sorry.
no, I was just
But-
saying they did it well.
The church.
The man's gonna talk over
Yeah.
the woman
What she's
right now.
trying to say.
Yeah.
No.
Oh. Okay.
The church should have made that ad, and it should have already
sure.
been out there, but the church didn't do it.
But-
And so somebody else is making it.
Well, some churches must have that money to make that ad. I know we don't.
Yeah.
But
There's a church
somebody's
in
got to.
California that was making Doritos commercials.
Procter
so-
Gamble should have donated the money to a church. I got money for an ad for you to make.
Okay.
But if you rewind a little bit, and you look at another like social driven ad that's like the talk of the internet, and like I'm 23, I spend a lot of my time on YouTube. I don't know if you saw like the Kylie Jenner,
The Pepsi.
the
Oh,
Pepsi
yeah.
commercial where there's like people like protesting
was
and
an
like going
example of
crazy,
something done bad.
and she hands out a Pepsi can, and then the internet blows up, and it's like, oh, Kylie Jenner handing protesters a can of Pepsi actually fixed everything. Sarcasm, if you can't tell. Everyone that's listening, like that's and the internet destroyed that. I think they even ended up taking it down off of the Pepsi
Yeah,
website.
they did. And they released an apology to everyone.
And so I think in that like style of, I really feel like, okay, there's protests going on. There's let's say there's minority groups being targeted. There's so much social injustice. We'll get one of the biggest celebrities. Let's cross-platform promote this celebrity who everyone loves and a product that we have, and get at the front lines of the protest handing a Pepsi can over. And I can see where their motivation, maybe Procter & Gamble's board is just a bunch of chauvinistic, sociopathic pigs that don't care about anything but money. But the way they did it showed, I think, more heart than the way Pepsi did it. And I don't think they should have to take it down. I don't think they should release an apology, because everything I saw, 2 seconds of the Gillette commercial was more quality and more effort and more heart and more passion and image from my perspective than the entire Pepsi commercial that got released like a year ago.
In their response, they said they just wanted to start a conversation, and they've done that. They said they're thankful for that. So
I do think we need to be better as a people to give credit where credit's due. And I think it's so easy to constantly be the critic or cynic of things. And it's like, you're danged if you do and you're danged if you don't. So what should they do? And it's almost like, I don't know, this might be a little far-fetched, but this is just kind of like where I'm thinking. It's like, gosh, and I can't think of his name now that his name has been misspoken so many times. The football player who kneeled during the...
Colin Kaepernick.
Yes, Kaepernick. And it's like, people get upset over people's different ways of protesting and peacefully, and it's like, well, then how do you want the guy to protest? Like, what does a peaceful protest look like for you? And so I think sometimes
there's a whole other conversation.
Caleb's pissed off. All the Trumpians, Colin Kaepernick, Gillette.
I'm bringing it all the way around full circle. I'm just saying, though, I feel like rather than constantly cutting people down and throwing like people away and dismissing them before we even have a chance to hear them out and listen to them, I think we have to do a lot better job at supporting one another and giving people credit when they did something well and did something right and tried to make a difference. And so I don't know. I personally think this ad was a positive, and I thought it was really well done. I thought it was really good. Now let's address the pink tax.
Oh gosh, yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
No, it's like a thing, like for everything. Like condoms don't get taxed, but tampons are taxed.
Yeah, they're luxury items.
They're a luxury item.
Now you know.
I buy 0 out of 2 of those things.
Anyways.
Oh.
I also have a huge beard, so I don't shave at all, so I don't need razors.
You weren't inspired? Well, we've talked about Trump, Kaepernick, Gillette. Kaitlyn, would you like to touch on adoption or the historicity of the Bible real quick
travel,
before we wrap up?
I just wanted to say McDonald's. That's it.
I think we need to quit while we're ahead.
This ad is brought to you by Dasani.
Are you just
the
mad
best
that we
a
don't
man
agree with
can
you?
drink?
Huh?
You're just mad we don't agree with you, Joe?
No, you agree with me, but you're just taking different angles.
Join us next time for the Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, Coca-Cola podcast.
Or don't.
Whatever. We'll find something else to talk about.